Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being with me today. What I'm going to discuss with you is a snapshot of a very horrible event that's going on all over this country by illegal aliens. And the state of Florida has a brand new law to help deal with that. That still doesn't help our victim. Let me introduce you to Alvaro Jimenez. He's 32 years of age, and he lives in Mulberry. He's a day laborer. He came into this country illegally in 2019. After he entered the country illegally, he registered with ICE and was following their directions until about 2021, and that's when he quit cooperating and ICE lost track of him. When he entered this country, he entered with who was at that time a very young child. And the child's mother did not enter the country. He had access to this child. So let me go back to the last 3 years. The child was between the ages of 12 and 15 years of age when he began to sexually batter the child. He refused to enroll her in school. He kept her segregated. She had no social life. He didn't want her in an environment where she could tell anyone anything. And quite frankly, it was a challenge because she is from Guatemala, he is from Guatemala, and she speaks a Mam language, which is a native Mayan language for the Guatemala people. As we have done our interviews with her, there's still investigation to do. We're trying to focus on someone who can speak this Mayan language more clearly so we can get more details. So obviously we want to bring more charges if we can. But for 3 years, the child was not in school, she was not socialized, she couldn't speak English, she was a prisoner. And this guy was sexually battering her. She dialed 911. And we went to rescue her, and that's exactly what we did. He is charged with a series of significant felonies, but I'm going to speak to the 3 third-degree felonies he was charged with, now have been bumped up to a second-degree felony because of the new law that Speaker of the House, Danny Perez, President of the Senate, Ben Albritton, and ultimately Governor DeSantis signed. Because of this, he's going to be held to a higher level of accountability. But the sexual battery, which was already a first-degree felony on a child, has now been bumped up to a life felony. Now, I want to give you a snapshot here. That child should have never been sexually abused, should have never been violated, should never been held enslaved so she couldn't freely live in society. Should not have happened. But it shouldn't have happened in the United States of America. So we're going to deal appropriately with this guy through our criminal justice system. But I want to underscore here for those who are doing the hand wringing and oh my goodness, and you know, the illegal aliens aren't a problem. And yes, some of them, a few of them are a big problem. And guess who's going to pay for his keep for arguably the rest of his life if he's convicted as charged? The taxpayers of the state of Florida. But you can duplicate this thousands upon thousands upon thousands of times across the United States with some form of felony charges. I do want to tell you that ICE is working very, very close with us. They confirmed his illegal status, and they have gone above and beyond. It is amazing when the administration changes and the new administration says, time out. We're over illegal aliens in this country victimizing people in this country. And that's what happened here. I am thankful for our governor, our Speaker of the House, President of the Senate, who passed this new law so that we can upgrade these charges. And we are forwarding those upgraded charges to the state attorney's office. The investigation is still ongoing, and there very well may be more criminal charges as this rolls out. Is there any questions?
Sheriff, did you say this is the first case in Polk County where you've upgraded charges like this?
This is the first case in Polk County where we've upgraded the charges as a result of the very new law that passed. Maybe it's the new one in the first in the state of Florida. I don't know, but I know it's the first in Polk County.
Sheriff, how was the young girl related to this man? We did see he was facing incest charges.
We do not discuss the relationship. That would be not only morally, ethically wrong, but it's legally wrong. He had access to this child, and the mother of the child was not here, is not in this country. But at the end of the day, he did have access to this child, which put him in a position to even receive more charges.
How's the victim doing?
The victim is physically all right. She is, as you can well understand, emotionally and mentally disturbed. We have her in DCF custody. We're working with her to make sure that we can find somebody that can adequately and appropriately communicate with her. This is, I don't call it a dialect, this is a different language. It's a language that is native to Guatemala, and it's not the normal type of Latino language or Spanish language that we see. So while we're communicating very well, we think there's more details that we'll be able to find out as soon as we find the proper counselor that also has the dialect or the language.
Will she be deported back to her home country?
We obviously want to reunite her at the appropriate time with her family, but at this time we need her here as a witness or we don't have a case.
Sheriff, what kind of message do you hope that this sends to the undocumented or the illegal immigrants here in this country that commit crimes?
I think the message should be clear that this is a new day, it's a new president, we have new laws, and you're going to be held ultimately accountable for any of your felonious conduct. What's important to understand here is don't commit crime first and foremost. And get out, go southbound and down, self-deport. If you're a criminal in here, you're ultimately going to be locked up in our jail and prison system for even a longer amount of time than normal. But at the end of the day, we're going to hold you ultimately accountable. It's not like you're going to get arrested for this horrific crime and we're going to say, well, if you'll go back to Guatemala, you're free. That's not true. That's not true. We're going to make sure you pay for this horrific, horrendous criminal conduct here first, then we'll deport you. But the question is, if the federal government, if the administration had been doing what they should have done and not allowed these folks to pour across this border committing crime, then this wouldn't have occurred here. Hopefully it wouldn't have occurred anyplace.
You suggested felons in Florida and Polk County, they should self-deport. Is that one of the goals of this new legislation in your eyes?
The goal of the new legislation is to hold criminals accountable. And if you come here illegally to commit crime, you're ultimately going to be held accountable. So my suggestion is if you're here committing crime, any crime, you need to go southbound and down. Get out of here before you get locked up for a very long time. That's our message. It should be crystal clear. But I can tell you right now, Alvaro Jimenez is going to prison upon his conviction here probably for the rest of his life, at the cost to the local taxpayers, because the federal government didn't do their job and keep him out of here in the first place.
Do you suspect any other victims of this suspect?
We will be investigating to see if there are any other victims, absolutely. If you're capable of abusing one child sexually, you're capable of abusing other children sexually. Okay, any questions? Thank you. Have a good day.